Hi, my name's Anthony Cummins. I'm here today to review an article by Dr. Stephen Turnbull. It's in the Journal of Global Initiatives, Volume 9. It's Article 3, Number 1, Interdisciplinary Reflections on Japan. And it's called The Ninja and Invented Tradition by Dr. Stephen Turnbull of Leeds University. Now, I'm making this specifically for Dr. Turnbull. I'm sending him the link later, and but I'm making it public as well because I would like you guys. Some people out there know a lot about ninjutsu and about Japan, so I'd like you guys to read the article. So if you haven't read the article, go to the links below and you'll see the article there. Have a read and come back and leave as many comments as you can about your thoughts about the article and your thoughts about his arguments. The idea is that we are hopefully very lucky now that Dr. Turnbull is thinking of turning this into a book, and you should get a new ninja book from Dr. Turnbull in maybe 2017 or maybe 2018, depending on how the publishing goes. So the aim I'm trying to get is to get as many comments as possible, so it will maybe give Stephen more ideas and more ways to go to make sure we get this correct, to make sure everybody pulls together some knowledge. So this is not at all a negative critique by any means. And I would not say at all, it's a bad thing. We are simply trying to pool our collective knowledge together and see what we come up with. So on the whole, do I agree with the article as a whole? I totally do. I agree with its conclusions. It's basically that Iga and Koka didn't have this secret hereditary ninja social sort of structure where they were the ones who went across Japan and they were the only ones with ninjutsu. I totally agree with him. No, I think it's a load of rubbish. I think the Iga and Koga are hyped up more than what they did, but I do think that while I agree with Dr. Stephen Turnbull's conclusion, I think there's a slight angle change that I would like to put in there. So what I'm about to say is not me saying, oh, here's Stephen Turnbull is wrong. I'm just saying this is how I would address these certain situations, and I hope to maybe give him a little bit of a lead in different directions, and you guys as well. So let's get on with it. Right, okay. First of all, my major thing here is there's no difference between what medieval people thought and what modern people think. Basically, it's seen as the ninja myth. And to be honest, I think what in the 20th century has a really bad effect on the ninja, and it changes the way Japan looked at ninja. I think in the medieval period, at least in the Edo period, people looked at ninja in a different way. So I don't think in Edo period Japan people saw the ninja as this group in Koka and Iga who were sort of like outside of the social system and were peasants on the hill. I think that's totally made up in the modern era. So I would reject that straight away. Get rid of the 20th century. I think, Stephen, once you get rid of the 20th century add-ons to ninjutsu, you're left with a much truer picture. So for the reader or somebody who's new to it, they wouldn't know which myth is which. There's no distinction between the two myths. Okay, so in my opinion, and remember, I've not got all the quotes for you here, but basically, I don't think that Iga and Koka are the only ones who do ninjutsu. I think that's a modern myth. Can't think of any document anywhere from the Edo period that says they are only done ninjutsu or the art of the shinobi is only done in Iga and Koka. Every document I've ever seen says they are the best at this. They are considered premier. There is, again, I might be wrong, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't think there's anywhere that says the only people who do ninjutsu is Iga and Koka. I think that was a 20th century add-on. So get rid of that, and most of your problems with the ninja dissolve straight away just by getting rid of that. So I think it's now that they claim this. There's two distinct claims. I think in the medieval period, people claim that Iga and Koka were the best at this, and they claim that they went all over the country doing it. I think modern people claim, especially Iga, claim they're the only people that do this. So that's what I think the problem is. And to say that again, Stephen, if you get rid of that, or put a divide between them two and get rid of that issue, most of the problems disappear. Okay. Also, for everyone out there who's like in a ninja school or all that, it says you're all a bunch of cults. Yeah, cults. I sort of agree with this, to be honest. He says it is reminiscent of passions displayed by members of a religious cult, because like any cult, the ninja's loyal followers staunchly defend both its worth and its authenticity. I agree with that. Too many people out there today are like, ninjas, you know, they're the greatest thing on earth. Nobody actually breaks down what they do. So this is a message from me through Dr. Turnbull for all those people in the, you know, the ninja world out there. Take it down a touch and do a bit of, you know, let's do some proper research and take most of our information with a pinch of salt till we find a historical base for it. That's what started all this for me. On page 11, it says, as Bushido is such an important concept for the defining way of the noble samurai, it is ironic indeed to consider that the cult of the underhand ninja may predate it by almost 3 centuries. I know you're saying it's difficult there. You know, I know you're not saying that's correct. But what I'm going to say is that this modern idea of Bushido is a little bit of a modern idea, but Bushido definitely exists in the medieval period. But the problem is we think of Bushido as this modern chivalric idea, where Bushido in those days was literally a different kettle of fish. It was like modern. It's like the way we look at Western chivalry. We see Western chivalry as the Victorian romanticized idea, but it clearly wasn't. It was a social class thing where a knight would be captured or whatever, and you know he has rights where other people do not, and knights have rights. So you're chivalric and loyal to those of the same class, but horrible to the people below you, and all that type of thing. So I'd be careful here with the wording in the Bushido and the ninja being underhanded. I think there's so much evidence for samurai warfare being totally underhanded, and it doesn't follow our modern concept of chivalry. I think we gotta be. I'm not saying you're wrong here, Stephen. What I'm saying is we've got to be really careful when we dice them two up together, because there's the third element that most people don't understand what chivalry or Bushido actually is from the medieval world. Right, okay, we're still on page 11, guys, and we're going for a very important point, which is the 3 major criteria that Dr. Turnbull puts there himself. Now, remember, he's put these up there to give himself a guideline to check if the ninja are correct. So, number 1 is there has to be a unique corpus of military techniques involving secrecy that existed in Japan during the Sengoku period. I think he also agrees there definitely was, but I think the word unique is not misleading, but it's debatable. Do we mean unique to Japan, or do we mean unique to the ninja inside of Japan? I think both of those, Stephen, mess it up. They mix it up. I would say spycraft is clearly not unique to Japan. You know this. We all know this. So I have found ninja techniques in World War II spy manuals. I've found them all over the place. But if you put those techniques into Japan, it becomes ninjutsu. So I think it's difficult to say ninjutsu is unique in the world. So then we have to say, is ninjutsu unique in Japan? I.e., is it a unique tradition? That I'm not trying to say I have an answer for this, Stephen, but I would definitely say it's created a difficulty there. It's created a trap, because my conclusion is that ninjutsu is intent. It totally depends on the intention. I think you can find ninjutsu, or the elements of the ninjutsu all over Japan, all over in different warfare. But when they're brought together for the intent of espionage, it becomes ninjutsu. So this gets really, really a border that shifts and changes, Stephen. So I would say that causes a lot of problems, number 1. The exercise of these techniques was confined to certain skilled individuals rather than being spread more widely within Japanese society. Again, back to number 1, I would say this is debatable. Yes, agreed, it is a set of skills that are kept secret. That is, I'm going with that. But I do think that the actual skills themselves individually can be found in many different places. You can find them all over. Like using a grappling hook is a very basic one. But when you use it to climb a wall when there's a load of you screaming and shouting, it's not ninjutsu. When you use it to climb a wall and get over it in secret, it is ninjutsu. So again, we're back to this intent. I would say number 2 is okay, but what you have to say is the exercise of techniques, multiple techniques combined together. So when you find individual techniques that are found outside of ninjutsu, often they're all put together and that becomes ninjutsu. So again, if we're starting to get this shadowy area of what is ninjutsu, I've tried to explain this a few times to myself and to other people, and it gets really difficult. What is ninjutsu? First of all, that question has to be debated. These skilled practitioners were identified in particular with Iga and Koka from where they sold their services to others. This one, again, the wording, I would say identified in particular. That's totally correct. In particular, Iga and Koka, i.e. not everywhere. It's everywhere, but Iga and Koka in particular. So I think there, you've sort of answered your own question. It was all over Japan, but was it specifically Iga and Koka that did it the best, or are they the only ones? This is a massive issue, this, Stephen. Are they the best, or are they the only ones? They are, in the medieval documents, they are definitely not the only ones, but they are definitely considered the best. So those three, I'm sticking on this point, guys, I'm taking a long time over this, because those three are the basis for the article. Once you really iron out some of the wording that can go in different ways, or you get rid of like the two myth things, you start to see a totally new way this article could go. And on number 3, Stephen, I would say the word, it's not said here, but you say it later, you say sold their services, i.e. mercenaries. I want to say here that this creates a massive problem. The word mercenary. You define what mercenary is, that's fine, but I think from your definition of mercenary, loads of samurai are automatically mercenaries. Remember, I'm talking more to the people here. Remember out there, guys, there's actually samurai who serve generation after generation. They are definitely not mercenaries. They are literally loyal samurai. But then you also get samurai that go to different lords throughout their lifetime, selling their services. They move from their province and go to other places in the warring period. Now, somebody has to do a much more detailed investigation of this, because where does the line of mercenary and where does the line of hired samurai cross? At the end of the day, if a samurai leaves his province and hires himself out to someone else, he's a mercenary. So that means any samurai from Iga or Koka going out there to their services and they don't do it for 2 generations is a mercenary by this definition. But the idea of Ronin is such a stereotype in our idea. The Ronin problem, I think it's only 50 to 100 years, where you have to get permission to carry on, or you couldn't be rehired. I think you couldn't be rehired. In the Sengoku period, you could be rehired. You know, there are points where you can literally leave your lord, go and hopefully get a note from him and go serve someone else, you know, and get a job. It's the same as medieval Europe. You go around serving different people. So, Stephen, I think this has to be identified, because the word mercenary here is an English word and it doesn't exist in Japan, and it's actually, in Japanese culture, not a bad thing to be a single generation retainer, or you know, you can serve multiple lords in the same lifetime, you know, your family can. So straight away using the word mercenary and giving it a definition applies to, messes everything up. So I'll go into that in detail with an email if you want. The other one is, are ninjas unique to Japan? Are ninjas unique in the world? No, they're not. Ninja, or shinobi no more, is person of endurance, person of infiltration. We have infiltration agent. You know, I'm sure there are words all over the world for people who infiltrate. So we should divide the word ninja and divide it from our imagination and see it as just meaning spy, infiltrator, or, you know, I tend to translate this as commando, spy, because they do both things. So do we have commandos in the rest of the world? Yep. Do we have spies in the rest of the world? Yep. Are they unique? Probably not. They just have a unique identity in our modern minds. So we don't have to find them as unique. That they exist. Whether they are unique or not doesn't affect whether they existed or not. Do you know what I mean? Also, if the skills of the ninja are found in other places, doesn't mean that because they're not unique, they weren't in Japan. They clearly exist in Japan. Okay, page 12. It is complicated because Japan's samurai class were precisely that. Highly specialized, hereditary and elite. These historical ninja would therefore have been super samurai. No, I don't think so. This is the problem we have, is like we see the ninja as above the samurai, you know, in skill. It's totally different in my head. Where you've got to in your conclusion, which again is correct, is you've got samurai and military personnel who are trained in espionage arts and commando arts, and that doesn't make them super people. It means they're on a different branch. Someone highly trained in another branch, like say accounting, or you know, the treasurer is highly trained in, you know, mathematics and accountancy. So that doesn't make him a super samurai. It just means he's on a different branch. The same as a ninja is not a super samurai. It's literally a samurai with a different set of skills that an overall leader needs. So I would say let's get away from the super samurai image. Okay, they were exclusive for the ninja, or this techniques are exclusive for the ninja. I would say no. This is another big issue. We don't have to define these techniques as being exclusive to the ninja. This is what I was saying at the beginning. If you take away the modern myth, all of these problems dissolve. In the medieval period, they didn't think that ninjutsu, or sorry, that infiltration or sneaking or crossing marches was exclusive to the ninja. They just considered that they were the best at it. So, but on the other hand, the shinobi do, or are said to have, specialized techniques for doing these things. So I think we have to divide it. Yes, other people do infiltrate who are not trained at it. It's literally get a group of lads, go over the wall and burn that stuff down, guys. Okay, but hold on a minute, there's some guys here, maybe not from Iga, maybe from Koka, who have actually trained in special skills. They know how to cross marshes, they know how to climb walls, they know where to set fires. So are these things exclusive to the ninja? The actions are not, but maybe the tricks that allow a better performance should be exclusive to the ninja. But remember, that doesn't mean they're exclusive to Iga or Koka. It means they're exclusive to trained personnel, okay? Or anyone who's had the luck of training with, or, you know, another shinobi. So no, this is the problem we get to. Is it unique to the ninja? From your point number one, it totally depends on what you mean by unique, and it totally depends on which element you think is unique, the action of going in, or the skills that allow you a better chance of survival, or a better chance to accomplish your arts. Okay, this legendary Prince Yamato, all this type of stuff here on page 12, and the Taiheki stuff. I would say on the Taiheki stuff, you have to be careful here, because they do actually mention Shinobi Iru in there. They do actually mention Jozu no Shinobi, I think, are a great Shinobi. And these two here, these two elements, I don't think are mentioned as Shinobi. And I don't think they consider it Shinobi. Only we see it as Shinobi because it ended up in the 20th century books. So I would ditch them, to be honest, this idea of the prince and the other stuff. Right, I'm on page 13 now, and we're talking about Shinobi no Mono, the word. Now, I would say if you look at Ito Gingetsu, and if you talk to a man called Eric Shahan, I think that's how you pronounce his name, he is translated, I think with his wife, some of Ito Gingetsu's books, and in there they use ninjitsu sha, they don't even use ninja, so the way we say ninja and things like that, I think it becomes a 20th century thing. Definitely, I think Shinobi no Mono is the older way. I know it exists as ninja, but basically what I'm saying is, I'll just plug you for Eric here. Eric does a lot with the early 20th century ninjutsu, so have a chat with Eric. Okay, the latter two criteria will be tackled in reverse, beginning with Iga and Koka's overall claim to exclusivity. Again, no, they don't. Nobody claims that except the 20th century Iga. Look at Fukushima Ryu. Fukushima Ryu does not claim any connection with Iga. Iga claims, the modern city of Iga claims that Fukushima Ryu is direct from Iga. That's a totally 20th century invention. Fukushima Ryu exists outside of Iga. Look at Shinku Sunoki Ryu, which is the Natori Ryu stuff. They 100% do not claim to be from Iga. In fact, he mentions in the Shoninki the other people at Iga, they are not them. So I would say, Stephen, that no, this exclusive claim by Iga is a modern exclusive claim. There is nothing, even Koka, there is nothing to say that is true. I've even got a medieval document where it's actually said people from Koka and somewhere else are considered the premier ones. Okay, so here on page 13, we're back to the mercenary thing. Now, I've said here, remember that a mercenary is someone hired outside. Basically, that's probably in the Sengoku period, a load of samurai. Remember, the samurai will take with them their loyal generational retainers, but at the same time, there's ronin floating around like sharks waiting to get employment. They're from different places. And in the Edo period medieval mangas, it says, make sure, you know, when you hire the ronin that have come to serve for war, you check who they are, put them at the front so they can't attack from behind, things like that. There are ways to deal with these, you know, ronin who are floating around serving. So the samurai are mercenaries anyway, basically, unless they're generational retainers by this definition. I love this bit. In Iga province, about the time of... this is page 14, guys. In Iga province, about the time of owning, the family of such and such a body were its provincial governors. But in later generations, their authority declined, and in Iga, no one controlled the Jisamurai, the country samurai. So basically, what it's saying is, by the time you get to the Sengoku period, you've got just Jisamurai. I have been saying this now for years. Iga is a land of samurai. It is no different to anywhere else. This idea that Iga is this strange place that exists outside of Japanese society is totally incorrect. And which you, of course, have said correctly. It isn't. So this idea that we're looking for ninja as a social entity, like where are the ninja? They don't exist. But I'll get onto that at the end of the video, if you're still with me, guys. Okay, this element on shu, you talk about the word for shu and what it means in that time period. I love this, actually. That's really made me think, because I never thought, oh yeah, shu might actually have a different connotation there. But I don't think it actually makes any difference to whether Iga were mercenaries or not. I think no matter what they were, if they came as Jisamurai, if they came as maybe this Ashigaru level, or if they came as outside, you know, ronin or whatever, they're still mainly... You know, this is back to the what is a mercenary. So I won't go over that again, but basically I don't think the shu matters, because once you establish that loads of samurai mercenaries, you don't really need the mercenary element for Iga, because, you know, did the people of Iga and Koka go all over Japan and get hired? Yeah, I mean, it's like there's masses of information saying that, yeah, they went all over Japan and they got hired, which in essence is a mercenary. But it's not in our understanding of samurai, because they become retained by the lord. So an idea of the Iga shu going out there and getting retained, we have to see what is the relationship between the Iga shu, Koka shu, and the lord. Are they permanent retainers? Are they retained for a summer campaign? You know, I suppose then we get into the semantics of what is defined as, you know, full-time employment versus what is a mercenary employment. You see what I'm saying? And I don't know quite correctly how to say this to everyone out there on the world of the internet, but basically, if you've got a guy going and he's a samurai and he's got skills and he gets hired by a lord, but he's only hired for a year or two, is he mercenary or is he a loyal samurai serving a lord? You know, so why would the Iga be mercenaries doing it, but another samurai who's doing it would not be a mercenary? So I think it falls down. Not falls down, but you know what I mean, there's a problem there. Okay, I've gone on to page 15 here, and I've just got some notes at the top that I'm going to read. I can't remember exactly which bit it refers to, but we're back to the Jisamurai thing. And I'm going to start putting this argument in now, is that the idea of looking for ninja. I'll go through it mainly at the end, but one problem we've got, I think, with not just this article, but I mean with everybody in the world, we're looking for ninja. And you're like, no, you're not looking for ninja. You're looking for Jisamurai from Iga. You are not looking for a ninja. A ninja, shinobi no mono, is probably 99.9% of the time a military position in the army. When somebody shinobi irus or shinobi ite, they go in stealth. But a shinobi no mono is a person going in stealth, as we know, but it's also clearly in army listings all over the place. So when you say I'm going, it's like saying I'm looking for the land of the snipers. So for people out there in the internet land, when you say, let's go find the ninja in Japan's social system, you're looking in the wrong place for the wrong thing. It's like going to Yorkshire in England and saying, I'm looking for this land where they have snipers. And they say, I think you probably mean the army base there where they're teaching the snipers. I don't know if they actually teach them there, it's just an example. You're probably looking for Yorkshiremen or army personnel. You're looking for an officer, or you might be looking for a recruit, a rating, sorry. and you're probably looking for the gunners, and on top of that you're probably looking for the sniper unit. That's the same as ninja. You don't go to Iga and say, I'm looking for ninja. They'll be like, well, you're also looking for cake bakers and accountants. Sarcasm's not for you, Stephen, by the way. That's sarcasm for everyone, you know, in the situation. You're totally going to go to the army and say, I'm looking for the ninja. Then people will say, oh, you need the Iga shoe. They're the guys from Iga. They do the ninja stuff. That's their job. So again, I'll go on to that more at the end. So where can we find the ninja? So basically, a lot of Stephen's article here is saying we can't find this identity of ninja. It's because there is no identity of ninja from a social standpoint. There is no ninja social class. There is just Iga, like Stephen says in this, is the same as everywhere else. Same as Koka, it's the same as everywhere else. It's got samurai at the top and it's got servants, slaves at the bottom, and some of those people in that hierarchy are trained in the arts of shinobi no jutsu. They are ninja. If they are hired, if they are not hired as ninja, then they are thieves, yeah, or they are farmer, land-owning gentry. You know, you are only what you are hired for that specific time that you're hired. So there, Stephen, my advice, thoughts are that you need to say, what is a ninja? When is a ninja, basically? There you go, new chapter title for the new book. When is a ninja a ninja? When he's hired as a ninja. When is he not a ninja? When he's not hired as a ninja. So I've got a quote here, guys, which I think is superb, and this sort of basically explains what I'm talking about. Such a person regards Iga as politically unique, so Stephen's saying, but a comparison with other areas demonstrates that Iga was no different from any other province where daimyo rule was not the dominant force. And the combined force of the barons to preserve the province for themselves was basically established. Totally correct. This is what I'm saying. Stephen is seeing Turnbull here is saying that Iga is no different to anywhere else in the world. In Japan. Totally correct. So we don't need to look for ninja in Iga because you won't find them there. It's no different to anywhere else. You'll find samurai. That's what you find there. You just happen to find samurai are pretty good at commando tactics. The Iga Shu were therefore an independent warrior band who were fighting outside their own province. This would appear to strengthen the identification of them as mercenaries. But that is neither likely nor is it anyway necessary. Again, I've got one quote where it was talking about head thievery, not ninjutsu, and it says the Ronin from Takeda's province, you know what I mean, from Kai, and it's I think it was Kai. So the Ronin from Kai did such a thing. So all of the Ronin from Kai were dispelled from the army. It's just showing that literally you have people from all over the country being hired in different areas. They've banded together like a company, gone out there and said, hire us. Again, I don't have all the information on this, guys. I would love someone to do a video, an article just on this. How easy was it in the Sengoku period for a samurai to move around to different lords and get hired? I think, from what I've researched, it's pretty easy. So it sort of destroys this idea of only the Iga will go mercenary. Sorry, Iga and Koka. So agreed. Okay, I'm looking at your here where it's Rokaku, the event which made Iga and Koka famous for ninjutsu. And basically what I want to say here, Stephen, is so many documents, I know they're Edo period, but so many documents say, and they're not connected documents, and they're from different places in Japan at different times, and some of them are meant to be secret documents from their schools where nobody shows them, the Japanese culture, nobody shows anybody anything. They all say Iga and Koka was sent around Japan. I can't see any way of saying that Iga and Koka didn't go out. Now, I don't think they were hired all over the country and they're the only ones. That's my point is, I do think you're sort of seeing this as strange that Iga and Koka are hired all over the world, all over the country. Maybe it's a little bit strange. I would say it's not strange. I would say it's well within the time. People are going all over Japan fighting in different wars. Again, back to my last point, we need to find out movement in the Sengoku period by different samurai, different troops going to fight for different lords. That is a key element here to get round this issue of the mercenary. Okay, here, I know a lot of your argument here is about how most of the quotes say they did it in a shinobi-like thing, or they infiltrated shinobi style. And, you're saying it's more of an adverb. I would say the greatest thing to do here, which would take a long time, I would say get every quote about a military person breaking into a compound using the word shinobi and find out how many are from Iga and how many are not. I'm in agreement with this. I don't think they're all Iga. I think, to be honest, you've got loads of people infiltrating. Again, I'll repeat it again and again. I just think Iga is considered the best. So back to my original statement, Stephen. If you get rid of the Iga, the only ones, you pretty much answer every question you've got in here anyway. Right. Okay, this one here. This says that there's only one pre-1581 document for Iga and Koka being, used in ninjutsu, and it's a very surprise to the reader. I agree with that, but I think the date of 1581 is not really doesn't really mean anything. Doesn't really have that much power. I think what you need is a document from any point in the Sengoku period that says the people from Iga and Koka are good. And I'm going to talk to you about the Goo Joshu at the end of this video. Okay, this Shincho Koki, the Chronicle of Oda Nobunaga, I'd love the date in that, to be honest, where it says the records that his men killed 780 accomplished samurai from Iga and Koka. That is a brilliant quote. I want to know the date for that, the actual original. And this is brilliant. Samurai from Iga and Koka. There you go. All these people who think ninja are not samurai, totally are samurai. They're Jisamurai, landed samurai from Iga and Koka. And if that date is, I don't know the date of that document, Stephen, but the reason I want that date in there is because then you're going to show that the Iga and Koka are the samurai from there. The only thing you have to be careful here is that, like you said, it's a bit of a long debate, but after 1581, when you get the Iga no Ran, you then say, who are the samurai in Iga? Are the samurai in Iga the original samurai who was shinobi samurai, or, trained in shinobi, or are they the samurai that have moved into the province with the new lord? This is a big element that I don't think is addressed in here. Of course you address 1581 a lot, but pre-1581 you've got the individual landed samurai of Iga. Post 1581, who are the samurai of Iga? So when you say Iga samurai, post 1581, who we're talking about, who the samurai that came in and took over or not? That is a question that needs answering. Right, page 17, I think. Yep. Page 17, the belief that Iga ninja tradition not only survived but prospered after the cataclysm of 1581 is one of the strangest features of the modern ninja cult. From this time on, the popular yet paradoxical argument goes, the ninja of Iga, who were desperate for employment, marketed their unique ninjutsu skills and began to sell their services as mercenaries more widely than ever before. Others emigrated to distant provinces to set up schools of ninjutsu. I would say that, Stephen, you are taking from modern myth. I think you should get rid of that. I think it's totally a 20th century idea. Everything I have researched to date shows the exact opposite, which is what you're saying. The exact opposite is that after the Sengoku period, less and less shinobi or Iga mono are getting hired. Loads less. So actually, there is a race for them to get employed, not because they, become super cool, or they're trying to say they went everywhere because they were so cool. It's because they no longer have the financial support. They used to be land-owning samurai in Iga. After 1581, they are no longer land-owning samurai. So you've got is a load of landless samurai going, I need a job, and they just like, give me a job, I'm great at ninjutsu, give me a job, and they're all racing for it. Now remember the intro to the Bansen Shukai, I know you've got a copy. The intro to the Bansen Shukai says there, when they went to the shogun to get a job, because they used to be samurai. So they used to be samurai, now they've not samurai. So basically, to guys out there, if you're not a samurai, it means you've not got an income coming in. So you have to work for a living. And if you have to work for a living, you can't train as a military personnel. So what the ninja happening after 1581 is they all go and race for jobs, basically. And what if you now talk to Ikeda here in Iga, he's got the, he guards them quite closely, but he's got the different Iga mono. He's got lists and lists of them, apparently, of how they are, what's the word? employed all over Japan, and the lists, as far as I'm aware, show a decline in employment, not a rise in employment. So this, I think, you're right, it is a myth, but I think it's a myth not at all put forward by medieval people or ninja. They didn't believe that. They all knew full well, and I think everybody knew, hold on a minute, we're losing our jobs, we've got no money, we've got no land, quick, going. And there we've got the decline of the ninja. So what you've got to remember is that only the ruling class changed. So we're like, they're like the samurai who own the land are like, shit, we've got no money. So that, now there's something here. When the Toda family take over, Toda Takatora, I think it is, when he takes over Iga, yeah, the question comes is, that I have not found this document yet, Stephen, but there's a question here that he is said to have asked the Igamono from all over Japan who were working in other provinces to come back. Now the question is where's that document? I've seen it in modern books, but I've never tracked the original document down. So it seems that this would answer your question. Are the Igamono hired all over Japan? I would say yes, they are. I think it's clearly obvious they're hired all over Japan. Nearly everyone in the medieval world says so. There's loads of records in the Edo period of people still being, hired there. So I think, and Toda Takatora says, come back everyone, come back. But then they've got the problem of if they come back, they've got no land to go back to. Their land from the hereditary family has gone. Again, that's a totally massive debate here. Again, we'll talk about it if you want to, Stephen. So basically, Igamono on the decline. Okay, from 1581 onwards, therefore, Iga province was a daimyo domain. Correct? Yeah, I'm not saying yeah, correct, of course. So that any subsequent accounts of men from Iga in action, secretly or not, must be interpreted as indicating their inclusion in a daimyo's army, because no other form of army could possibly exist. I totally agree with you. But the problem is that's what it probably always was. They have gone out and got employment so this is back to that mercenary thing. Once you ditch the mercenary element, you've solved all these problems, because when an Igamono goes out, no matter what social, if they're hired by a lord and that relationship to that lord is as a retainer, they're samurai. You have to check this. They're samurai. So whether it's post 1581, pre 1581, once they leave Iga to work for someone else for the duration, they are in a daimyo's army. I can't imagine that this idea that they're not in a daimyo's army. Again, correct me if I'm wrong there, I'm not sure, but to me, that's exactly what happens. They go out, they get hired, they join the daimyo's army. Then they settle down and they have children there, and then their children learn the ways of the Iga people, and their children learn the ways of people. The ideal example of this is Hattori Hanzo. This is a perfect example. Hattori Hanzo's father is a samurai from Iga. He goes to Mikawa. He has Hattori Hanzo, who becomes a retainer of Mikawa, and is then, there. And if you talk again to Ikeda, he's got a document that shows that the people from Iga who had to be under Hattori Hanzo's family were well annoyed. They're like, they're much lower than our ancestors. Why am I serving them? That's because in 1581 their ancestral lands were taken away. But because the Hattori Igamono were hired in Mikawa, they have new lands as hired samurai. They have an income, they have koku, which means they don't want to go back to Iga because they lose their koku. It's like, no thanks, we've got no land in Iga. So my point here, Stephen, is I think when when an Iga Shu or Kokushu leaves Iga or Koka, they leave it and become daimyo there. They may still own land at home. That's an individual thing. But my point here is that I think that statement needs to be readdressed. Sorry for the harping on. I hope you're still with me, Stephen. Well, okay. Page 18. But far from confirming the popular interpretation of an orderly province ruled by a network of ninja families, I would say, there, Stephen, it is not a network of ninja families. Again, we're back to social identity. It is a family, or it is a network of jisamurai. There are no ninjas there. In essence, they are jisamurai, and they do the job of the shinobi. So there is not a network of ninja families. There is a network of jisamurai who are skilled in ninjutsu. I know it's semantic, but it makes a big difference. Right, the third consideration is that the Iga must have suffered as much as any other province from Hideyoshi's sword hunt. Now, here, so you are saying that they cannot perform as military personnel because they are not samurai anymore. Sorry, no, because of the sword hunt. First of all, I have to say in Koka that doesn't matter because they're still samurai, so the sword hunt doesn't apply to them. In Iga, you're correct, but I think I keep getting this the wrong way around. I actually got it wrong way around in a book, and I apologise. I've got to change that. It was Theodore who checked it for me. I said Musokanin in a book, but I think it's Iga where they become Musokanin, which means like a half samurai. And I think in Koka they become Koshi when they've been displaced or they've not got enough money. So, but what I'm saying, Stephen, is they become the heads of villages which are allowed to wear a sword. So the idea that the sword hunt affects the samurai who've been displaced from the Iga no Ran doesn't make sense. Not make sense. You know what I mean? I'm not being insulting. It basically wouldn't happen because they have swords because they're given a middle position. Double check that though. They're village leaders, Musokanin or Koshi, ex-samurai. Okay, of course, here I've got my note about Hattori Hanzo, the story I've just told about Hattori Hanzo. Also, the Iga Mono, who were not in Iga. This is very important. According to tradition, and what you're saying is folklore, but I think it's true because it's in so many documents. According to tradition, Iga people went out and served different daimyos and became retainers to daimyos, and they got land given to them, or they got an allotment of koku or whatever. They do not drop in status. This is a massive point everybody misses. Once the Iga Ran happens, and some of the families of Iga, if I remember rightly, leave Iga, and once the battle happens and they've crushed Iga, those people go back and take up their positions, I think. Or those who live outside of Iga don't lose their position. They're hired by a different lord. So their position is not under threat unless Nobunaga wipes them out. So anywhere where they're on the side of Nobunaga and they're hired by outside of Iga, they retain their position of samurai. So, and my example of this is Hattori Hanzo. Moves out of Iga, Mikawa is samurai, becomes a general. So, you know, that's right. It meant the end of it. In fact, Iga was so thoroughly pacified that neither samurai nor ninja from Iga province played any part in Sekigahara campaign. I would say here, Stephen, we have to be careful there. Samurai or ninja, again, you've heard me harp on about that. They're all samurai, or at least all forms of military personnel. Maybe even half samurai. But they didn't take part in Sekigahara. You can only say that the people in Iga Koka didn't take part in Sekigahara because what about the Iga Mono who were outside, hired by other daimyo? What about the Iga Mono in different places? You know what I mean? They were definitely not inside Iga at the time and could have took part in Sekigahara. It depends on where they were. Right, we're getting on there, chaps. I hope you're still with me, Stephen. The Kokashu therefore carried out 2 successful raids, but the claim in the Mikawa Go Fudo key is that they were trained as shinobi. It may simply be an interpretation placed upon their successful service. I totally disagree here, actually, Stephen. This is one of the things I disagree on. To say that nobody is I think you're trying to say that nobody is trained in shinobi, nojutsu, ninjutsu. That I think is not correct because we know the word exists. The word ninjutsu actually is an Edo period word that, you know, there. I've never found it earlier than that so far, unless you count the Ogiden. And if the Ogiden is correct, I think ninjutsu is in there. But we have to check the date on that. Then it's like, how can you have people trained in infiltration if they don't train in the skills? And then you've got to say, like, hundreds of people across Japan. So you're saying on one hand that there are people who are good at this from all over, not just Iga and Koka, which is totally what I agree with, but they're only good at this because they're trained in it. So I think it's a bit, it wouldn't work to say no one is trained in it. And we get different things like, jujitsu, I mean, is in magic, like black magic. We get kenjutsu, sojutsu. You get the word jutsu all over Japan. So why would it not apply to ninjutsu? The word appears in early Edo period. It possibly appears in Sengoku period. We know the word jutsu is given to anything which is a set of arts. So I'm totally down with the fact that people trained in ninjutsu. I don't see how you could get around them not training. It would seem ridiculous to have a military branch, you know, no matter where they're from, Iga, Koka, Owari, wherever, that are trained in infiltration and commando techniques and spying. Because, as you say at the beginning, spying exists everywhere, and we have skills and tricks for it, but nobody trains in it. It just wouldn't make sense. So unless I've misunderstood you there, I think that, you know, saying that they didn't train in it is a little bit, you know, or it's a bit dubious. I think it's too much. Back to the sword hunt one on page 20 is you're talking about the people from Koka here, and it says here like this, it says 100 samurai from Koka under such a gentleman, and you're like, that's exactly what I mean. Like, you know, the samurai from Koka are not subject to the sword hunt because as far as I'm aware, Hideyoshi did not disarm the samurai class. You know, to be a samurai you had to be armed, so the idea Koka was not in the Iga no Ran, it wasn't devastated, so we do know that they continued in their samurai position. I'd like to do more research on this, and because we do know the families decline, the Koka families totally decline. I would say this is really good information because the fact is when peace comes, nobody's hiring Koka people anymore. Nobody's hiring like Iga people anymore. That's what the big issue is they are not being hired, like you say. And it's that means money is not going back to Koka. Money is not going into Koka families. So you've got a decline of the Koka people. Again, look at my Maraiki for that. We'll talk about that. But it shows that the Koka people at this time at Sekigahara are still holding the position of samurai. As far as they're concerned, nothing has changed. They're samurai, they probably serve a lord, and they act as warriors, as samurai. Some of them may be trained in ninjutsu, and some of them may be considered the best. This one here is interesting. The same guards served at the siege of Osaka in 1614, but in the capacity of troop of muskets, not shinobi. I think I agree with you here. That is a bit suspicious. Why would they not be listed as shinobi? It's a really bad argument of mine, but maybe we do know that Iga and Kokumono are absolutely centered on gunpowder. So, but only my love of Iga and Koka and ninjutsu would say that they're musketeers because of their knowledge of gunpowder. But to be honest, you know, that argument falls down very quickly, so that's just me. I agree with you. I think that is a bit weird why they are hired as musketeers. Maybe because you don't need 100 shinobi. Do you know what I mean? If you've got 100 trained warriors, maybe not all of them are shinobi. Maybe you don't need 100 shinobi. Maybe, you know, we don't know. Okay, I'm going to read this next bit for you guys because I do want to bring this up. Their appointment, so the 100 people, to Edo was a reward for good service, although it is conventionally explained as a conscious act whereby Tokugawa Ieyasu took the supposedly powerful and independent military cult of Koka, again a modern myth, under his wing. He then gained exclusive use of them and thus effectively neutralized any capability a possible rival might have to recruit ninja. I now believe the situation was quite different. So yeah, you are totally right. It's totally different. But I think that is a knock-on effect of the 20th century myth. One, there's definitely not 100 ninja in all of Japan. Two, they're not all from Koka. What about the Iga people? And three, what about the rest of Japan? You know, all the ninjas outside of Iga and Koga. So yeah, I think it's totally rubbish. You control all of ninja. There's only 100 ninja in the, you know, all of Japan, and they're only from Koka. Yeah, I agree with you. Totally rubbish. I'd throw that out. Right, we're moving on. We're getting there, chaps. We're getting there. Right, page 21. Again, I'm just going to repeat what I said earlier. We're talking about Shinobi no Jozu at the bottom of page 21. And he has no connection to Iga or Koka. Again, I'm going to stress it. That's because in the medieval world, it didn't matter. Some people were great at shinobi. They didn't have to be from Iga and Koka. That is a modern myth. Basically, I think it was all started by Okusei, who's saying Iga is the only place for ninjutsu. But then he couldn't say Koka wasn't either, so they sort of worked hand in hand. I don't see any problem with this quote whatsoever. X person was great shinobi skills, and he infiltrated somewhere. Perfectly fits in with everything that is said in medieval ninja manuals in medieval documents. It doesn't go against anything. Right, beautiful sentence here coming up. The conclusion must therefore be that the practitioners of secret warfare in these historical accounts were warriors who operated within the usual command structure of a daimyo's army. I would like to take this moment to sort of like have a little cheer for myself that finally an academic has come to this conclusion after me spouting this for about 5 years and getting people from all over the world emailing me saying ninjas are not samurai, ninjas are not samurai. There you have it, guys. Dr. Stephen Turnbull is saying to you they are no different and they do not come outside of the normal social structure of Japan. So I think, Stephen, this sentence eliminates a lot of your problems because, again, once you think they're all from the same they're in the same social society as the rest of the Japanese, then there's no problem. They are not ninjas. So, hallelujah. 5 years of work, 6, 7 years. No, actually, I was talking to Josh. It's like 7 years now I've been doing. You know, it was actually, Stephen, it was probably about 9-10 years ago when I was training with, like, you know, in one of these ninja cults. I actually read your book and it said they took some samurai to be trained as ninja. And I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. You know, it was a quote. And I was like, why would they take samurai to be trained as ninjas? Ninja are these ultimate outside of samurai society. You know, they hate the samurai. And that's what made me think about all this. And after 7 or 8 years of actually getting my teeth into it now, I think it's about 10 years ago I read it, or it first questioned it. And now after 7 years of debating it, finally, I love this sentence. I'm going to read it again. The conclusion must be, therefore, that the practitioners of secret warfare in these historical accounts were warriors who operated within the usual command structure of a daimyo's army. Perfectly aligns itself with all of the medieval accounts, perfectly aligns itself with my argument. I love it. Okay, complicated debate coming up. Right, we're going to go through adverb and nouns. Now, the word shinobi is an adverb. It's basically a doom word, a verb. You shinobi and you infiltrate. And it also becomes a noun, shinobi no mono. This is a massively difficult issue here because let's take the word Viking. I always use Viking because it's a great example. The word Viking in its original context is an adverb, a verb, whatever. It's about going in. You are doing piracy raiding. I'm going raiding. I'm going Viking. So the people who went a Viking became known as the Vikings. So shinobi, to shinobi in, the people who did shinobi as a speciality became known as the shinobi. So the adverb gives birth to the noun. All right, guys. That means that the doing, the event, the action gives name to the name. For example, a sniper is sniping. Yeah. A musketeer is musketeering, if you will, but you get the idea. A swordsman is doing swordsmanship. The point here is that them two create an issue. Stephen, I think you've highlighted here all the time they use the adverb. You can't get away from that. Of course they have to use the adverb, but that doesn't mean that the position, because the adverb is used so much, doesn't mean that the position doesn't exist. Just because it's an adverb doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I get what you're doing, and I know I'm not saying you don't know that, and I get what you're saying, that most of them are adverbs, but not all of them. I would argue that there are many out there that are not adverbs. Like, he is shinobi no jozu. He is great at doing this. You know, could be read as he's a great shinobi. Now, the big one comes here in army listings, and I'm going to, in a minute go to that. Shinobi no mono appears in lots of army listings. Early medieval, I understand. Early Edo, I get, but it still appears. As far as the people in, or shinobi shu, exists as a job title, list this people. So this is difficult. This is back to that chapter said, when is a ninja? If you get rid of the idea of the ninja as an identity, it's not, it's solved. So basically, Stephen, all I can say there is be really careful there, because trying to show that the ninja, shinobi no mono, does exist in early Edo manuscripts as a position, and not by ninjas. It's totally by people who have, sometimes people are slagging the ninja off like Iga, Koka mono, a bunch of idiots, and that, you know, those ninja, don't trust ninja, never trust ninja. They hate the ninja, but they don't say they don't exist. They say they exist. So I can't imagine they are going with the Iga cult. They've got infused with Iga cultism, and then they're like, yeah, let's argue and slag off the ninja. So I don't agree, Stephen, in that sense. I think the concept of ninja as a job is totally there. So trying to, you know, say that just because it's an adverb, I think gets on muddy territory. That will, even though you do lots of work for it, won't get you anywhere in the end. You know, it's just my opinion. Page 23. Right. Hold on. I've gone from... Right. So it says here, page 23, top line, someone from Iga does these skills, he's praised as a ninja. But if somebody else does them, he's not praised as a ninja. This is back to that adverb, what I just said a minute ago. Totally correct, you know, agreed. But again, it's a job position. So he's just a samurai doing the job. So and I've discussed that enough, so you get that. That's not a problem. Right, page 24. Okay, the Kokashu in Edo Castle were trained for wartime use as musketeers, not ninja, and it is difficult to envision a large group of ninja being retained in peacetime for possible use as a rapid deployment squad. Totally agree. This is maybe why they're employed as musketeers. You're like, you know, if somebody comes with a job, you're like, we haven't got a job as ninja guys, you know, you got a page in here, but you can join the rest of the musketeers, and basically we know you got some add-on skills, so we use if you ever go to war. That's one excuse, but again, it's quite a weak one. Also, it says falling into a hole indicates they are not highly trained ninja. I have to disagree here. One highly trained ninja as a job. They are samurai from Koka, but you've got to think of it that the last war is Sekigahara. You're looking at 15, 20 years. They've probably used Koka mono who are not practically skilled, and this is where I go to Kimura saying that, you know, people nowadays are not as good. I think this shows, one, I don't think them falling into a trap is a bad thing, shows that they're crap. I think that's more of like the myth is coming too much there, that they're meant to be hyper cool. We've got like, was it 75 ninja a shot? So Ieyasu gives them shields, because they keep killing the ninja. Iyasu's like, well, give them iron shields instead of wood, should stop them being shot, boys. You know what I mean? You got this sort of idea that ninjas are superhuman. They're not. They're just another squadron, and then they die. And in fact, I reckon, this is just my idea, but probably being a ninja was a short lifespan because you were the person getting shot. So clearly ninja were being captured on both sides. Falling into a pit is not a problem. These castles were rigged with traps, absolutely rigged them, and we do know that, you know, according to Edo period literature, ninja actually defended castles. So these traps, I'm not surprised they fell into them. One, they've probably got no actual practical expertise because they're like 15 years after, or they're probably old, but probably, even if they're old, that wouldn't matter. They've probably just not got enough experience. And I reckon in the Sengoku period, loads of ninja fell into traps. I reckon loads of ninja died. I think it's a bit of a, you know, a fantasy that they were all amazing elite warriors that never fell into traps. So basically, no, I think get rid of that, Stephen. So here in the conclusion, it says, I therefore conclude that the authenticity of Iga and Koka ninja tradition fails against all three of suggested criteria. I think this is major important because I think your criteria need changing, and I discussed that at the beginning. The elite practitioners of secret warfare, it is a narrow geographical location. So basically, you're saying it fails there from too small an area to give out across Japan. Undercover operations were performed throughout Japanese history, but were carried out by skilled warriors who did not belong to a hereditary tradition. That, again, you've not included everyone who left Koka and Iga to go all over. The problem I have is actually the reverse of you. When I'm trying to find ninjutsu outside of Iga and Koka, we only get Edo period documents, as you know, so it becomes a case of, was it actually Iga Mono giving them the information? Or is it non-Iga stuff? It's a real big problem. So I'm trying to find ninjutsu outside of Iga and Koka, and the big problem is the fact that Iga and Koka Mono are everywhere in Japan. They're in the army listings. Again, talk to Ikeda. They're all over the army listings, and you're like, they're actually all over Japan, you know. Of course, we also found the document for, what is it? It's in my new book, Stephen, Ninja and Samurai. You probably don't have a copy yet, but basically, it's got the building where the ninja, you know, live, if you will, and they're called the ninja. And there's actually from a picture of the uniform they wear. So ninja is without doubt a job. So I would say here, when you say Iga and Koka did not have a monopoly, that is very important. No, they didn't, but you can interpret that two ways. Monopoly meaning they were the only people who did it, or monopoly meaning they were the people who did the majority. If you mean they were not the only people, I totally agree with you. But I think they did have the monopoly. They were considered the best. They were also all over the country getting hired. And they were passing on their skills to their sons, i.e. Hattori Hanzo from Hattori Hanzo's father, or somebody who's adopted in with them. Now, the Iga person in the book, Iga and Koka Ninja Skills, he's not from Iga. He's from the flow of Iga. He's not even an Iga by blood. He's literally been taught about Iga but he's from Issei, I think. Right. So that's the conclusion of yours done. So here, Stephen, on page 25, this is where... yeah, totally agree. All invented traditions have a basis in fact, no matter how tenuous the links may have been between the developed tradition and recorded history. In Iga and Koka, there must have been some genuine belief in a unique local expertise that bolstered folk memories. Now, I fully agree with this, but I think you're here and I'm here. This is the truth. This is where, you know, Iga people are saying or whatever. I think they genuinely were... Excuse me, it's hard talking for this long. I think they genuinely were great in the Sengoku period. I think it would be a little bit conspiracy theory to say that everyone in Japan who wrote documents about shinobi, I don't mean ninja manuals, I mean wrote externally about shinobi, who nearly all of them say Iga and Koka are the best, Iga and Koka are the best. Yeah, I've got unpublished documents, by the way, guys, where I've just Iga and Koka are the best, Iga and Koka are the best. I think there's enough out there that say Iga and Koka are the best, that we can assume that Iga and Koka are the best. So like you say there, they have a reality. At one point, in an unknown, sort of like this black square, if you like, of what we as historians can't get into because there's no documentation. There, inside of that void, you have... And which is the fantasy for us all, isn't it? Is that you have these amazing warriors, if you will, who are samurai, who are trained in these secret arts, but we can't penetrate that void. So we have to read around the outside of the square to sort of find out the points. And I think it would be really, really bad to say that all of those people were in on this Iga Ninja cult and they all thought, oh yeah, you know, they were amazing. They don't. Half the time they say, don't trust Iga people, don't trust Iga people, don't trust people from Koka. They so will tell each other their secrets. Don't trust them. But they're the best, but don't trust them. I've even got one unpublished document which is saying when you're... Again, it's head up here, so you know, take it as a pinch of salt. But it says when you're hiring ninja, hire Iga and Koga for the base jobs because you can't trust them. They're bastards. You know, they will tell their brothers and cousins. So you should hire them. Hire your own retainers as shinobi. There's not so many, but there's a few where they say hire your own retainers as shinobi. Hire Iga Mono, Kokomono as the sort of out there ones. Now, I've got some points here. This video, I know how long it is, guys, but my conclusions are that conclusions are all is correct. I love the document. I love it. I just think the events to prove the ninja not exist, the way you go about it is, I think if you trim it or change it, you'll have a much better idea. Like, what's a mercenary? Do we really need ninjas to be mercenary for them to exist? No, I don't think we do. Do they need to be unique to Japan? No, they don't. Do they need to be... Do Iga and Koka need to be the only ones in Japan? No, they don't. So once you strip those away, I think most of your problems fall out of the way anyway. So it would make for a much easier book. People pre-1581 are connected to post-1581. Some families come back. So this idea that... I know... Basically, Iga got decimated and they killed everyone, basically. So, but what about all those Igamono all over Japan with the same tradition? So somebody's grown up in Iga, they're cousins, brothers with each other, they've learnt the arts of ninjutsu as samurai, they go out, they're hired in different provinces, which is, I think, believable, and they all talk to each other, which is what everybody complains about. Now, when Iga is destroyed, that doesn't mean that there's no continuity. Though that continuity is now outside of Iga. My question is, which samurai replaced them? If the samurai who replaced them are not original samurai, which We don't know, because remember, Toda Takatora is saying, come back, eager people, come back. Basically, we've got no eager people here. All the samurai have been wiped out. So did Toda Takatora want people back to rebuild the hereditary connection, so he had the proper people there? Did he want the skills? Did that even exist? I've only ever read it in a modern book. So what I'm saying is you've got to address the pre and post 1581, but not have them as totally separate. While the war did destroy everyone, you've still got loads of eager people all over, and Koka is not affected by it. They're basically still continuing. So there's absolutely no problem with them continuing. So you say that basically you can't find the ninja anywhere in pre-1581, but that's because you're looking for ninja. You shouldn't be looking for ninja. Yeah, like my sniper example, I'm like, I'm going to Yorkshire, I'm trying to find the snipers. You're like, what do you mean? Well, should we start with an army base? Yeah, okay, let's find the army people, then you find the snipers. So you're looking for ninja when it's a job position, not a social position. So you should be looking for jisamurai. So when you say, I'm seeing loads of jisamurai, I'm not seeing the word ninja, that's because that's what you should expect. You won't see the word ninja because that's a military position. In the main. Okay, basically, I would say, and most people who've read my book know this, my stance is that samurai studied ninjutsu as well, some of them. They did this to get jobs as ninja. In the new book, the one I say is not out yet, basically I say you've got military samurai, military shinobi, and you've got civilian shinobi. Military shinobi are those who hide by daimyo. Civilian shinobi are those who just use skills for their own means. So anyone who's hired by it becomes shinobi no mono. They become, or shinobi shu. They become ninja, if you will. What you've got is a samurai studying ninjutsu, and if they get a job, they become ninja, but if they don't, they don't. That doesn't mean they're not trained in ninjutsu, it just means their job is not that. They may be, as we say, musketeer. So, but I also believe that the people from Iga and Koka are considered by people with dispassionate observers, like you said, as the best. I think that's absolutely the truth in there. That's where I'm at. I would say, please, Stephen, divide the modern myth from what is a medieval myth. I think if you just spend a chapter at the beginning of the book saying, this is the modern myth says that all ninja from Iga and Koga, rubbish, and they're not samurai, or they're not, at least from the normal social strata, rubbish, get rid of that. I think you can get rid of it all in a page and then carry on and say, what do medieval people think ninja were? Yeah, what do Edo period people think Sengoku period ninja were? This is the same as when we talk about World War II. We are not divided from World War II. It's not like World War II happened and then we were born and we have no connection to it. We have a connection to it. We have people who've passed on stories and it's exaggerated. We have exaggerated accounts of it. We have lies about it. But it didn't mean it didn't exist, and it didn't mean it didn't happen. I think to say it's an invented tradition is just going too far. It's saying that in a 20 to 40 year period, the people of Iga and Koka took Japan by storm, and all the accounts all over time, all from all the different observers, were invented. I think it's too much. And this idea that they were capitalising on their folklore, I think is too much. I think they were not capitalised on it. I think they'd capitalised on it in the Sengoku period because they were all over Japan. I think they weren't taking advantage of it. I think there was a scramble for jobs after Iga fell, or after, the Sengoku period, after Sekigahara. I think you've got a lot of people who are very well trained hanging around with nothing to do, who are getting hired as maybe musketeers, has different things. They're losing their family income. So I think I think it's a little bit different to how you've put it forward. So we've also, and lastly, I've said that ninja does exist in military lists. So you've got in the Edo period, you've got this massive explosion of people writing military history and things like that. Now, what am I trying to say? So why would they invent the ninja? They've got nothing to do with Iga. Are from different places in Japan. Many of these documents were secret, even though they're quite useless in the sense of being secret because most people knew the warfare. They all say ninja, Iga mono, these are the best. It seems too fanciful for me to say that they are all made up. I just don't agree. with that. Right. Very quickly. This is the Shoninki, guys, True Path the Ninja. I've picked this out because this has no connection to Iga whatsoever. This is Shinkusu no Kyu, which is also known as Natori. It's a secret document, so can you trust it as a historical reliability? That depends, you have to argue this. But what it does do, what we do know about it is that it was secret. It wasn't meant for publication, which means that it wasn't written to show the public something. And this is the secret document of Natori and their exquisite, skills, if you will. And even Natori Masazumi says later the people of Koka and Iga, there's a little bit of a transcription error, but basically later people from Koka and Iga followed this path of ninjutsu, and having made the oath of Ichigo Nichime, the friendship oath of one district, one band, joining the people together, they went out exclusively to various provinces to utilize their skills, thus being universally recognized as premier. Basically, a man called the Natori man is saying that even though we have these mint skills, the guys from Iga and the Japanese, the content, the sort of what's the word I'm looking for? The tone of it is he's not happy with Iga and Koga. He thinks they're like a bit Iga and Koga because he's dead posh Natori. And he's saying, all right, but they're the best and they went everywhere. So that's one example, Stephen, that of course I have a big connection to because it's a Shoninki. That's one example of someone who's absolutely no love for Iga, who doesn't try and support Iga, saying they're the best. And if even the people who don't like them are saying they're the best, surely they are the best. Now, I want to go to this one, The Secret Traditions of the Shinobi, Hattori Hanzo, Shinobi Hiden, and Other Ninja Scrolls. Now, the other ninja scrolls for this is the Gunpo Joshu. Now, this is written by a man called Ogasawara. Stephen, and the rest of you, I want you to realise, this is on page 77, just how important the Gunpo Joshu is. Of course, you all know I have an emotional attachment to Natori and all that, and so I'm trying to stay away from that a bit. But basically, the Gunpo Joshu is the #1 document that anyone from a historical standpoint should look at for ninja. Why? Because it's written by a Sengoku period warrior. Not someone who's the son of, not someone who's the grandson of. He was there in the Sengoku period. He was fighting, and afterwards, we don't know who he served, but we think he served Tokugawa Ieyasu. But we do know in the early years after Sekigahara, he is working for Tokugawa Ieyasu. So we can presume he's Tokugawa Ieyasu throughout the war. But what we've got, we don't know his age, but by the writing and by the context of the writing, he is definitely not young when he's writing this. He's not like my dad was in the war. He's not 14 in the war. He is a full-on samurai from pre-Sengoku period, writing in the early Edo period. Now, why is that important? It's because he has no love for Iga and Koka. In fact, the way he talks about Iga and Koka is very much they are lower people, lower people. But this is what he has to say about it. No daimyo would be able to carry out his wishes without shinobi in his vassalage. So again, that is not shinobi used as a verb. It's actually a shinobi as a noun. So my point, Steve, is they exist. No matter how adept the commander is the art of war, none of his stratagems will work if he knows nothing about the enemy, their topography or location. In addition, in order to maintain a high level of vigilance in the guardhouse during surveillance, you should have in your service those who are trained in the ways of shinobi. Back to the arguments, we do have people trained in shinobi. This is a guy who's in the wars, he knows better than us. I know you have to be careful with historical documents, but this is why this is so good. He was there, he was in the armies, and he knows people were trained. And as a noun, their job is shinobi. It is common knowledge that in ancient times there were people in Iga and Koka who were highly skilled on this path. So it's common knowledge, he's saying. This is in 1612 at least. At the latest 1612. That it's common knowledge. So people who are totally surviving the war know that Iga and Koka are the best at shinobi skills. These skills have been handed down to their descendants and they still live on today. Thus, the people in command of these tasks are called Iga Shu or Koka Shu and are hired in every clan across Japan. I think that one paragraph, Stephen, you should get the original Japanese just to make sure. Because remember, I don't speak Japanese. This is translated, so make sure we've got it right. But basically, right there, is, you know, you're looking for that quote. You've got a quote where shinobi is a noun. You've got common knowledge that Iga people are good at ninjutsu. You've got common knowledge that they train in it, and it's common knowledge that they're called Iga and Koka Shu. That answers almost all of your questions in one paragraph. Why is that important? And then people say, oh, it's Edo period. It's like, that is a modern line. Sengoku period, Edo period is a modern line. As far as they were concerned, they were only a decade out of the war. We know that this man was writing very early in this Edo period because he gives it to a man. The name's in here. Here we go. The author states that Matsudaira Hideyuki, the retainer of Tokugawa family, was the person who personally showed. But this Hideyuki died in 1612. Of course, we need to confirm the date of 1612, but basically, Stephen, if he died in 1612, that means that this book was written pre-1612, even though the actual document has a date of 1619, but that's because it's probably a rewrite and it's renamed and it's re-given out to all the samurai in that year. We know that a draft copy of it is definitely in existence, but that doesn't matter. The author is still the same author. He is a man who went to war, and he went to war probably alongside Tokugawa Ieyasu, or at least, you know, in that period. He is a man who wrote down, and he's not a ninja. He treats ninja as low. He actually got his information from a Hattori man. It says here he got his information from Hattori Jubeimon, and these are the skills of the ninja. So there you have bang answered everything you ever wanted to answer on that article, and it's from a dispassionate observer who's from the Sengoku period. Forget this line of Edo period, Sengoku period. That line it doesn't exist for the actual people who survived the Sengoku period. If this man survived the Sengoku period, which he did, and he wrote about them, he's a gold mine for historians because he's everything you want. He doesn't care about the ninja, but he tells you what they did. And that's why I believe quite a lot of the manuals, even though they're exaggerated, because they're very similar to this. Then, hold on. So, what kind of people should you use as shinobi? When you choose someone to send out as a shinobi in the above fashion, you should examine each case very closely. First, choose those with intelligence. Second, those with a good memory. And third, those who speak eloquently. Not me then, because I can't speak for toffee. Anybody without these natural abilities will not make a good shinobi. However, those who are assigned to this task and who train themselves on this path should be good, capable and resourceful lay people. This is so they will have a good understanding about the tasks required, even if they are not good at other things. Therefore, be mindful. As it is said above, it is better and more correct to use trained people from Iga and Koka. So on 2 pages, he says, Iga and Koka are the highly skilled on this path. Not the only ones, Stephen. Highly skilled on this path. So to everyone else, they are the best. They are highly skilled, if you will. He also says you can use anyone as shinobi. They don't even have to be trained to use them. Remember, being trained in shinobi gives you a better advantage. Anybody can spy on anybody else. In fact, one of the tricks of shinobi is to recruit local spies. That makes them shinobi, but it doesn't make them good shinobi. That's why we have the word shinobi no jozu. Great shinobi. And he's saying here that be mindful, as said above, it is better, so not always, but better, to more correct to use people of Iga and Koka. So, Stephen, if I've not harped on that long enough, basically, you've got one guy here who is the absolute perfect example, in my opinion, of what we need as someone about ninja, and there he is. Secondary to this, I would say this book, Iga and Koka Ninja Skills, you've got a man called Chikamatsu Shigenori. He is actually not a ninja. He is definitely not a ninja. He is hired as a martial arts instructor stroke gungaku stroke military person close to the Lord of Owari. But very soon the Lord dies, and this samurai, Chikamatsu, becomes basically, got nothing to do, learns a lot of warfare because that's what he was, hired for, and he loves it. So he opens a dojo and teaches the local samurai. He's still a hired retainer, though, I think. Basically, this is great because he's not a ninja. He's not even hired a ninja. He's not even from Iga or Koka. He has no connection to them. So again, I love the word. I'm going to use it again and again. He's dispassionate observer. Totally, that is what he is. So he goes along and he learns ninja from both Iga and Koka. If you want a dispassionate observer's observations of Iga and Koka, Chikamatsu Shigenori basically is the number one for it. The only problem is he's working in 1719 up to 1780, which gives us a problem of that it starts to be in the Edo period. But what it shows you, and here is proof again, he learns from an Iga mono and Koka mono about ninjutsu. So therefore, you've got it answered. What were Iga Shu and Koka Shu doing? Iga mono, Koka mono doing? They were studying ninjutsu. That's what they did. They're family traditions which are hereditary, but remember in Japan hereditary does not mean bloodline. You can literally adopt people, your best student. So you've got a passing on of this ninja skills here. So where are we at? So basically you've got Chikamatsu Shigenori saying, these are ninja skills, so he writes them all down, and he says, I'm not trying to hide them, I'm trying to save them for prosperity. He physically says that, and he's got no connection to Iga Koka, so you've got a wonderful account there. And then he records the words of the Kimura, which is the Koga ninja, and basically Kimura complains. He says, we used to be higher level, we used to be higher level samurai than this, we used to get lots of money, and they used to give us money, and we want some money. So clearly they're not being paid anymore, which fits in with the theory and the facts that Koka people in decline, not elevation. And he is saying, the people of Koka today are so crap. He said, in the old days, which is what we're talking about, they were sent out across Japan. So again, he's showing this, sent out across Japan. And they used to be brothers or cousins. But now they're like third or fourth cousins, fifth, sixth cousins, and all this. And they have no connection with each other. And they no longer exchange information. Because remember, Koka was an exchange of information network. So it's like, there you've got, he's not trying to say, we went everywhere, we did this, we are great. He's actually saying, we're crap. Koka people have now become terrible. Excuse me. And he's saying this, so it's great for us as historians, because he's saying, look, I'm annoyed with our own people. We used to be good at this, but now they don't even know their own tasks. He says, if you talk to someone in the street, I think he says, well, they'll think you're great at ninjutsu. Fujibayashi says it. It says, if you tell someone you're from Iga, they'll think you're great at ninjutsu, meaning that not everybody was, but most, there is a high percentage of them. So basically, I would say, you need Goo Joshu, which is published, Stephen, in the full book is published, and it's got the shinobi stuff in there. You need, of course, I can give you the medieval documents for that Maraiki, the Iga and Koka documents. You can have them, that's not a problem. And they basically answer the questions for you, if you will. Now, remember, Stephen, I've come to the end now, guys. I don't know how long this video is. It's going to take me ages to edit. So I've come to the end, but basically, Stephen, and for anybody who's still listening to this, I think Stephen Turnbull is now on the right path. Stephen Turnbull's book, Ninja Secret Cult of Japan, or whatever it's called, in 91, I think, is what started me on this. I used to be a fully fledged ninja cultist who was like, they live in Japan and they're secret and they're, the evil samurai would get them. Totally ditched all that because it was clearly rubbish and total rubbish. And it was Stephen's book where I thought, yeah, there's something not right here. And then Stephen has come back, and 10 points to you, Stephen, for admitting and saying that book was not right. I'm all down with people admitting when they're wrong. I admit when I'm wrong all the time. You know what I mean? I'm on this path for it. So I'm dead happy, Stephen, that you have got this article out. And while all of my points disagree with, your points, if you will, disagree, if you know what I mean, basically, we have arrived at the same point. We've gone different ways, and it's like, ninja or samurai, it's not really, my point is it's not a social position, it doesn't exist as a social position, it's a job. And we've arrived that they were just normal people in Japan who might have been trained and specialised, and that there's a decline in Iga and Koka mono afterwards, but they pump up their reputation higher. We both say exactly the same thing, but we're coming out from different angles, and I would say there's different reasons for that. So, I hope you take my thoughts into account. None of it was with sarcasm, it's just me being funny at times, and I love the article, and I'll email you later with anything you want. I'll just let me know. Now, anybody who's still listening to this, if you want to send Stephen Turnbull your thoughts, you can put your comments here. But if you're going to do a longer review, write it in a Word file with your email in the Word file, and I will send it to Dr. Turnbull. He doesn't have to reply. He probably will not reply, guys, just to warn you. But I can promise you I will send it on, and he'll receive it. Then it's up to him if he wants to read it or not. So you can send them directly to me through my website. just go to the website and basically click contact and you'll see I'm there. Right, guys, that's it. That's the end of Iga and Koka, you know, cult. I hope you enjoyed that. My name's Anthony Cummins. Subscribe here. I'm about to get a drink and start editing this. I'm going to plug the new book here, actually. Here's a picture of the new book, basically, because this is coming out this month, and it's got all of these questions answered already in it, and I'll send one to Stephen as well. And hopefully in his new book, come 2017, we're going to crack this ninja stuff and get rid of all those idiots running around in black, telling everyone that they're from a peasant ninja cult, and we'll just get it sorted and get the reality of history corrected after all these years of medieval fantasists. Okay, guys, I'll see you later. Thank you very, very much.